Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Flipping Junkie Podcast. This is a Just Ask podcast episode, and what happened here was Erik joined the Flip Pilot Facebook group, which I recommend that you do. You can go to flippilot.com and get an invitation to that private group, or just search for Flip Pilot on Facebook and look for that group and ask for an invite. Quickest way to get in, obviously, is to go to flippilot.com to get that invite so that you can get in right away. And so Erik went to the Flip Pilot group and he typed in a message there, and he put hashtag Just Ask and then tagged me, Danny Johnson, to make sure I see that really quickly. And he was asking me about direct mail. So he was telling me he had been told, I'm not sure who told him, but that he should, between direct mail or online, he should focus on one, get really good at it, and move into the other one. While usually I do say that focusing on one thing and becoming the expert at it and then expanding into other things is the way to go, I did want to tell him, Erik, well, it's like I'm speaking to you, I guess, because I'm answering your question. So Erik, what I would do is, with online, you can have managed services do things so that they're the expert, they're doing it for you, and so you can do that at the same time to up your lead and deal stuff. You did say that you were with a competitor for the websites. It's not too late. You can switch from the dark side, come over to Lead Propeller, and we've got pay-per-click services. A lot of people don't even know that, but we do pay-per-click. The same managed in-house. They're managing my pay-per-click account, would manage your pay-per-click account already also, and you get the benefit of having run all those pay-per-click accounts, and we know how to do it. So it's in office, and so I advise you do that. You can reach out to us for that. But to answer your question with direct mail, we do a lot of direct mail. I think over the last 12 months, something like $80,000+ on direct mail, may even be closer to 100. The main one that we do, and before I even get into that though, you had asked the question, can you share your exact direct mail strategies? I'm not sure if that's proprietary or not. And what I want to say about that is I have no problem with sharing with you, what we do exactly. I think, and, so I think that comes from people thinking that there's some special things that people do that they're not sharing. And really what we do is known, it's just something that so many other investors do. It's nothing special. What is rare, I think, is just that people actually doing it. So they hear it and they think, well, okay, it makes kind of sense, but they're not doing it. They don't do it. It's rare to see it. And I know that that's the case because I've got a bunch of, properties that we own that we get direct mail from other investors, and it's ridiculous. Nobody is consistent, okay? And so that's the key. Let me tell you first what we do, what we mail to, and then the secret to what makes this work and what other investors just aren't doing. Even though, it's taught all the time, I want to focus in on it because it's where people are failing with it. So our main list that we're mailing to, the biggest one, absolutely biggest one, is the high equity mailing list. And so we do the owner occupied and absentee owner high equity direct mail list. And so we target ages 45 and older of the household, a household age 45 years old and older, not of the house, but the people living in the house, the demographics. And part of that question was, where do you get this list? So this list we get from listsource.com. And with ListSource, you can get your rates down by calling them and just asking them for a cheaper rate. Sometimes you can get a discounted rate just from calling and doing that. So I advise doing that. But you basically go into ListSource and you specify the target area you want to target. And I would target the types of properties that are in your farm areas, so your main investment area. So if you're doing fix and flip, you're going to sell retail, then you want to make sure that you're getting those areas where you can sell retail. You're not getting the war zone or near war zone where it's hard to sell retail. You want to focus on those areas. So either do it by zip code or do it by selecting on the map your areas. And then you want to choose your property value, because a lot of times you want to limit the value of the property. So I don't like doing really high-end properties, so I limit our appraised value for the properties in the list to just above median home price, and that's where we kind of limit that, so that we're not getting all these ones that are up $1 million homes and stuff like that. And then we go into demographics and list source, and then choose for the age, so either household age 45 or older. And then we go into equity. So there's two ways to do the equity one. I think there's the mortgage amount or something like that, and then under property I think there's equity percentage, and I would do the equity percentage. That's the one that we do. And then just choose one that makes sense, and I'm pretty sure that we go with I think it's 50% equity is what we do to target ours, to make sure that there's 50% equity. You don't want to be mailing to people that can't sell to you because they don't have enough equity to be able to sell to you. They'd have to come to the table with too much money. I mean, that happens, but we want the ones that are going to be a little bit better, so when the calls come in, they're not underwater. So especially if you're, you see what it takes to have success in direct mail, it costs money, and the people having a lot of success with direct mail do so because they're spending money. Like I said, we've spent almost maybe about $100,000 I think this year so far, and just from the high equity list is 12 deals from last I checked, so it's about one a month from that list, and we're mailing roughly 10 to 20,000 postcards per month. And it takes that for the success. You've got to get a large number of calls, and then have the leads. And we've been transitioning, moving people in and training them for acquisitions. I think that number is going to improve. We could probably get more out of the same amount of mailings, but I think that's working out to something around $5,000 a deal, which is a little bit higher than I probably want, but we want that deal volume, so we're spending it and we're doing it. And obviously, when you make $25,000 on a deal, $30,000 on a flip, it's absolutely worth it, and that's why we do it. But that's having success with direct mail. The key to having that success, though, is not getting such a huge list that you're mailing once or twice because that's all you can afford. Do not do that. You need a list that's a decent enough size, several thousand properties at least, and you need to mail them over and over and over again. And you need to mail them with pieces that stand apart from what else everyone else is mailing, so that they know when they receive that one every time it's you. And this has to do with having your website on there, having Better Business Bureau logo on it, but having something that stands out, a picture of you maybe. Not too many pictures. I think that comes across as too junk maily, I think, when you have too many pictures, but something like realtors do this well, I think, where they have their picture on there, and it's a way of branding. And with direct mail, when you're mailing multiple pieces like that, I think that's super important, and not enough people focus on it, because like I was saying before, we get direct mail from a lot of other investors, and it's amazing to me because I can't tell who's sending it to me because it looks the same. And that's the problem with using these national save you time kind of things, and we'll do all the mailings for you, do these letters, and they're tested and they're proven to work. They were proven to work years ago when not so many people were using them, so I'd be real careful with that, because I get these letters all the time and I'm like, dude, this is just like the 10 other ones I received. If this one person from this one letter mails me this again over the next like 5 months, I don't know if it's him or the other 10 people that mailed me the same freaking letter, and all they had different was their name and number on the letter. So do something a little bit different. And we do strictly postcards right now just because we're doing volume. If you do letters, I would try letters that are sort of more personal, like my wife and I buy houses, we fix them up and sell them to the family that would love them for years to come. We're looking for a property in your area to flip. We like buying houses in that area. If you would be interested in selling, give us a call. We can make you a cash offer, something like that. And then the other one I would try, this is a good split test, is the business one. So it's more from the business point of view. We're a business that buys houses, Better Business Bureau, all this kind of garbage. And you try that one. See which one works better, gets more calls. But when you split test those, I think one mailing is not enough for a split test on this kind of thing, because with direct mail, the key, there's like so many keys, right? They're all keys. But the key is that not everybody's in the right place in the right time when they receive that first mailing from you to be in a place where they're enough aware of their problem that they're going to call you to get the solution. They're going to call you to help them with the real estate problem. And that's why mailing so many times over and over again to the same list is so important, because you don't know when that time is going to be for these people. And more about what you say in the postcard or the letter, it's more about the timing of it. Like, you know, if they just receive notice that they're going to be foreclosed on next month, or even within 2 weeks, and then they get a postcard from you the next day, I think they're going to be a lot more likely to call you than if they are just considering whether they're going to be able to pay their next payment or not, and it's, you know, 4 months out from any problems. So mail consistently over and over again. Be persistent about it. And I know somebody's going to ask, well, how many times? As many times as it takes. Keep mailing it. And you know, there's people out there that say mail until they tell you to stop mailing them. You know, just keep doing it. If you're targeted where you want to buy, types of properties you want to buy, and they have that equity, why quit mailing them? Unless they tell you to. You need to, you know, not do it if they tell you not to. But I think I've pretty much covered all of it. So list source, we do postcards. You should try letters too if you've got a smaller list. Maybe letters would be a good one to test if you do a specialized list like code compliance. Call up the city or whatever and ask them if you can, I think in San Antonio's neighborhood services, but you can usually get the list of properties that have code compliance. If you call up there and they tell you, no, we can't give that to you, go up there in person and talk to somebody. And if they say, well, I don't know, we'll ask them to get a manager or somebody that can find out. Because a lot of times it's the gatekeeper, the person that you talk to either on the phone or when you get there, could tell you no, but the truth is that you could be yes, and you just have to talk to the right person. So that's a big one. Doing probates, tax delinquents, all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more involved getting the list and mailing those. I like doing volume, so we do this high equity one plus some of the other smaller lists. But you know, the majority of that direct mail is focused on this. So if you want to try the tactic of becoming the best at something, focus on that high equity list, get started, get it rolling. Know that it's a numbers game. If you're not getting enough calls to get a deal, which it could take you 15 calls or 15 leads from direct mail to get you a deal, and you do a mailing and you get 2 calls, well, you got to keep doing that mailing, because you're going to need more than 2 calls usually to get a deal. And I think knowing that helps, because it's a volume thing. And we do as much as we do and spend as much as we spend because we want the volume, and we know that it's going to cost money to get there. And that's where people fail, is either just mailing once, list is too big, they mail once, maybe they mail twice, give up. The whole sales principle that it takes 7 or 8 touches for somebody to finally respond to your marketing. So knowing that, you know, if you send it once or twice to the same person, what are the chances of them actually calling you? It's pretty slim. So you got to keep doing it and not give up on it. I know it seems like you're throwing money in a black hole, but once you start finding success, one deal can pay for how much? You know what I mean? So you don't have to do it, and I don't recommend doing it at the volume like we do from the get-go. Okay, I've heard of other investors doing stuff like this. Do not do it. You need to ramp it up. Pick your best areas where there's a lot of rehabbing going on, so you know there's properties that are a lot of properties in disrepair, and focus on those. But have the list, you know, at least be something like 1,000 pieces. Don't be mailing 200 pieces, and then do that. Okay, so I told you how to get the list source, what lists, I told you that. And okay, services. So the postcards, like I mentioned, my complaint with the national ones that make it easy for you, but you end up looking like everybody else. I think it's a problem. So we just designed our own. It's what it says is not so important. You know, you could just say, you know, we buy houses, or sell your house for cash, get it off 24 hours, close in 7 days, or whatever works for you. It doesn't matter as much. I mean, as long as they know and you grab their attention, you don't have too much on there, especially because a lot of the people getting these postcards are going to be a little bit older, so don't have small print. Big print, don't put too much on there. Make sure they know what you want them to do. Call right now, any time of day or night or whatever. Have your phone number really big. And what we did was we found a local print shop, a local mail house. And we just called around and we got pricing. And we said, we're going to do about this much volume. I want to know if you can do it. You want to what's the price? Print with variable printing, so that you have like the address on each postcard's different, because you give them the list. It's got the different mailing addresses and what the subject property is, and you want that individualized on the postcards. And so variable printing, and you ask for those things, and then how much, and if they can mail it, because we did for a time there, print at one place, go and pick it up and have it mailed in another place. And now the place that we're using, I think, is just doing all of it. So we get them the list, they do the mailing, and we tell them when. We're mailing roughly 45 days apart for each hit on the same list. So I hope that helps. In 15 minutes, talked about the direct mail strategy, but heed the advice though, as far as, you know, it's an investment. Okay, it's gonna have to spend money to make money, and you know, make sure you're dialed in on when you get those calls, working with motivated sellers, that you have a really good chance of turning those into deals when you do get the calls. So work on your acquisition skills as far as meeting with sellers and getting them in a contract. And John Martinez, my friend, has a lot of sales training for that kind of thing, so I recommend looking into him. And then don't be afraid to look into pay-per-click, and we'll get you over on the right side over on Lead Propeller and get you doing handling your pay-per-click, and then you can let the experts handle that without becoming an expert. We'd be glad to do that. Just reach out to us. You can email sales@leadpropeller.com, sales@leadpropeller.com, and that'll go to Josh, and he can help you with talking through you know, those services. And you can also call him 210-999-5187, 210-999-5187 if you guys are interested in looking into our managed pay-per-click services. Be happy to help you with that. It's a great moneymaker, deal bringer-inner. So anyway, everybody have a great day, and if you've got a question that you like answering the podcast, go to flippilot.com, get your invite into the group, the Flip Pilot group on Facebook, hashtag just ask, tag Danny Johnson. You just start typing Danny Johnson, I think it'll pull up my name and you select it if you're in the group. So yeah, that's that, and I'll be glad to record an episode to answer your questions. And Erik, hope that answers yours, and I'm sure you'll be getting more responses in the group too from other people, so that's awesome. Everybody have a great week, and talk to you next time.